Hello, this is Sebastian. I cannot reproduce what you're in, but I can only express my deep compassion. Okay, what I can do, I can maybe contribute a bit to your to finding you a job. Right, that's not much. I realize that, and I'm deeply concerned. And it's a terrible situation. I feel deeply connected with all of you. And also a bit powerless. Hopefully this whole situation, this whole terrible war, gets resolved fairly well to an extent as soon as possible. Okay, so my deepest compassion. You fled from Ukraine, perhaps. So this is the situation, and so I'm not an expert in the entire job market. But I can say, of course, in the area, in the domain, I know some things, and this is IT, that the situation is pretty good, pretty good. So if you are somehow in tech, right, and that doesn't mean that you are a full-fledged software developer, full stack engineer, something. Also associated positions, that have something to do with IT, and I suppose a lot of people are also pretty young that are fleeing currently. And they have a quite affiliation and association with IT very intrinsically, right? A lot of people who fled are millennials, probably, right? And so, of course, if you are a computer scientist, then the opportunities are best, right? Then you will find a job right away. I get into some details where to look at, which you probably also know already, but maybe I can give you some guidance as well. In a minute, but first, also let's talk about some other opportunities, like for instance, a product manager. Product manager is not so deeply tech, but still, so it's the connection between business and technology. Okay, also a good opportunity, right? A lot of people are not directly computer scientists in this domain. Because computer scientists, like myself, for instance, tend to be really deep into tech, right? But a lot of people are from different areas, and where it works very well. Or, for instance, also even HR or some personal management people that hire tech people that also need to be, of course, not deeply tech, self-explanatory, of course, but need to be somehow a bit tech savvy, know some of the vocabularies. Even that is possible, right? Or project managers. Project management is a completely generic topic, right? You can manage every project, also building a bridge or a building or whatever, but also, of course, in IT. If you are familiar with project management, also a good opportunity. First advice: if you look at some job advertisement, do not be afraid of just trying it, right? To apply for the job, because of course they describe often an ideal candidate, maybe even a candidate that would exceed the requirements for the job often, and this is not expected, or this person rarely exists. Sometimes it's even worse. The company itself doesn't know the requirements and writes some stuff into it where they also have caught some of the vocabulary. Do not be afraid if you do not fulfill everything, right? Also a third or something, maybe. If you find some spot where you think you could be making a difference or could contribute something, then try it, okay? And currently, everybody in Germany, everybody in the Western world is very compassionate about you. Everybody will be more than willing to very carefully consider to hire you. So don't be afraid of that, of course. Some guidance that I know, at least. So there's a big job advertisement. It's called directly job8ukraine.com. Job platform across not only IT, everything, and across every branches, for particularly for Ukrainian refugees. Or we also have remoteukraine.org, for instance. It's also particularly for Ukrainian talent, right? And it's absolutely free of cost. There are big platforms where a lot of jobs are advertised, right? Another one that I particularly found useful for my personal experience is completely unrelated directly to the Ukraine situation. But I got hired via that platform some time ago This is honeypot.io. The idea is, because of this high demand on specialists in IT, they reversed the roles. You're not you are applying to companies are applying to you. So you just create a profile there, describe what you can. Sometimes, depends on your proficiency level, they ask you to do some tests, some kind of coding test. For instance, if you're really applying for an engineering role, of course, if that's not the case, then not. And they also do a personal interview with you. So, for instance, so online, remote, yeah, get an impression by themselves there, and then they put your profile for a certain period, I think 3 weeks or so, on the platform, and companies see your profile as gets advertised, and then they hire. They connect with you directly, right? So it worked for me, yeah. So I got a lot of requests, and then finally I decided for a company which is a big company, which was really awesome. Was one of the best decisions I ever made to join the company. And look at those platforms. Also look at big companies. Of course, what is important in Germany. So we're currently in Berlin. Currently, there are a lot of web-based companies, of course. Also, US companies, of course, that have some branch here. Also in Munich, so in the big cities. Also in Cologne, Hamburg. Yeah. There are a lot of companies, you name it, right? Amazon, of course, has something in Berlin. Google also. Google Brain is here, but Google has also a big branch in Munich, for instance. I think that's headquartered in Europe. And then we have so Amazon, Google, of course, Apple is also here. So the big companies are also. Meta is hiring a lot. Also, of course, across Europe. Yeah, job is mainly based in Germany sometimes, but you can also look in UK. There's, for instance, a lot of Meta and so on. But also completely German companies, of course. Yeah, a lot of startups that have grown bigger. Yeah, for instance, Zalando, one of the biggest fashion platforms, is the biggest fashion platform in Europe. So this is web-based application. Yeah. Then, of course, we also have a lot of Germany is particularly very good in industrial, so physical products, right? So automotive, of course. So one big player that is not a German company, but that recently came to Berlin and is hiring a lot is Tesla, for instance. Tesla, a good employer, I suppose. And of course, we have all the automotive industry across Germany, more in the south then. So like Munich and Stuttgart, of course, BMW, Daimler, and so on, of course. Then we also have chemical industry. This is like more in the south, Baden-Württemberg as well. So in Cologne is also various automotive companies like Ford has a branch there. There are a lot of possibilities, and these physical, all those, although they are create physical products, for instance, automotive, of course, there's of course a lot of IT as well there. So I'm not an expert in what automotive engineers or something like this. Yeah, I cannot give much advice there. But of course, if you are in that topic, you can also hire directly for those positions there. But IT is equally important for them, of course. And consider now you found something. You will write some letter. So write a CV, of course. Yeah, 1 or 2 pager describing. I would do it in English, of course. Yeah. Also, English is also, for instance, in all the modern companies, in the US companies anyways, or Zalando, or also in the automotive industry, it's more and more English is okay. CV and some letter why you hire for that, why you want to apply for that. There particularly go into the, so advertise your strength, of course. Don't be shy, don't be too passive. Be self-confident, advertise your abilities, and go specifically to the description of what is demanded, what is requested in the description of the job. Go into the detail how you are going to fulfill that, and maybe consider your CV in that perspective. For the interview, how do you prepare? Yeah, so so if it's a tech job, so an engineer position, I would refresh. I would advertise you to, or recommend you to refresh the coding skills, right? Sometimes, particularly for the big companies, although this is not so common in everyday jobs, then that you do, for instance, or implement a sorting and searching algorithm, like in the old days, because you use a library for that. It's more the way how you can orchestrate all the libraries, how you can quickly produce production-ready code, but they still use this as a proxy as an indication on how do you deal with challenges, how you deal with new problems. How do you tackle solving those problems and stuff like this? That's repeat your skills for fundamental algorithms, data structures, and so on. And for that, I can recommend that one. That's a good book. Cracking the Coding Interview. Big O, so the complexity, how to assess the complexity of an algorithm. Goes through the big challenges, sorting and searching, how to traverse a tree, the diverse recursion, dynamic programming, and so on. How to, what kind of data structure to use in which circumstance, and so on. Of course, this is for software developers. Okay, I mean, if you go more into data science direction, then or data engineering, then you probably have an emphasis more on like SQL databases, distributed computing of a lot of data, right? How to use Spark, for instance, maybe something like this. If you're not so deep, or if you are afraid, man, okay, it was quite some time since I did that, then maybe look at that, some kind of books like this, but don't be afraid still. Often you will probably be faced with a challenge like some kind of brain teaser, where you, in the first place, when you hear it, you don't have a clue how to solve that. How the hell should you solve that? Pretty complex or something. And the idea is not, so it's just, they want to see how you tackle that. And then you please describe as much as possible, as you would do in the job, right? You have a complex problem. This is too big to just solve it. Otherwise it would be trivial. And therefore, you need to break it down, decompose it into manageable components, and then tackle those, make assumptions, and so on. And then you get into interaction with the interviewer, and then he helps you, of course. They expect you to ask questions. Of course, they don't expect you, and they actually don't want somebody who just retreats or go into some obscure chamber and then comes up with a complete solution without interaction. No, it's often a team effort to come to a solution. They also want to see what kind of team player you are, what kind of attitude you have. If you don't have the technical expertise, maybe, and I already said that in general, because of the situation that a lot of people are on high demand, and we cannot fulfill this demand with experts, the companies are shifting more willing to accept also flaws. And particularly in the Ukrainian situation, they are more than willing to accept that, of course, because they also want to help you. And it's more important to them to see your potential if you are willing and able to grow and learn on the job and so on. Right? And so don't be shy, interact as much as possible, ask questions. I'm pretty confident that you will find a job in somewhere in the IT area. Good luck with that. Okay. So again, my deepest compassion. I really hope this all turns out relatively well without too many more terrible tragedies that you have to endure, and also without escalation that makes it even worse. So all the best, good luck. And write down maybe. If you like that, I can also produce more. Usually I publish things here in German, because this is more my community here. But of course I can start also publishing in English, because my channel here in general, the vision is to make it easier accessible for new joiners, for instance, who are currently in the situation which job they would like to do, for instance, very young, in the early phases of their studies, or just started, or don't know where to go in the first place, or they already have a job and they consider to go into IT. So And I have a lot of experience in various, I did a lot of in IT. Currently, I'm a professor even, and in some University of Applied Sciences. And basically, I know what I'm talking about technically and also in the market. And therefore, if you would like me to go into some specific topic, I can produce more videos in English. Just write what you want and go ahead. Yeah. Good luck. See you soon.